as well as systemic state failures. When we release the report, we're intending to pursue private prosecutions against those who failed. So will...
Order. The question...
Madam Deputy Speaker, the Minister will be aware that we have privately crowdfunded a rape gang inquiry which is ongoing. During the course of that inquiry, which continues today, we've uncovered vast evil which is happening across the country, as well as systemic state failures. When we release the report, we're intending to pursue private prosecutions against those who failed. So will...
Order. The question did ought to relate to the urgent question.
Will the Minister give me a copper-bottom guarantee that the transcripts of previous court cases will not be destroyed?
Minister.
Well, let me start by saying that this government is committed to tackling grooming gangs, punishing offenders and protecting children. The grooming gangs scandal is one of the most heinous crimes of our time. But allow me to repeat this, that it's fundamentally incorrect to say that court records are being deleted. Court records are remaining completely intact and would only be deleted in line with GDPR and record retention policies. The data that we're talking about here is data which a private company, Court's Desk, has been asked to delete because it has not demonstrated, it has failed to demonstrate that it is using that data responsibly. This data is Magistrate Court's list and outcomes only, so not the sort of transcripts of which he speaks. Data that they are not entitled to hold. So the sorts of data that he is concerned with remain, and for those who need to access it for investigative purpose or otherwise, they can do so through the usual channels. Let us not conflate that with the data in question here.
Katie Lamb. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. For decades, victims, survivors, campaigners, whistleblowers and journalists have fought to force the British state to reveal the whole truth about the rape and grooming scandal. The data held by Court's Desk could be invaluable in uncovering the truth. The Minister tells us we can rely on the government's own data instead, but just 4.2% of magistrates' court cases are listed accurately by the courts themselves. So if every 25 listed, 24 are wrong, how can the Minister ask victims, survivors and any of us who care about the truth to rely on that, especially in the context of the most disgusting cover-up in our nation's history?
Minister.
Well, I share her concern regarding the victims who so often are...
British politics like this one. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to British Believe It, or not over 98% of viewers watch our content without hitting the follow button. Subscribing is completely free.
We fail to centre in our discussions in this House. Let me be absolutely clear. As a government, we have demonstrated time and again our commitment to open justice. So whether that's increasing the provision of free transcripts of sentencing remarks to all victims on request, the introduction, which we are about to make, of audio recording in magistrates' courts, or whether ensuring that the judiciary allow more judgments and decisions to be published. But to be absolutely clear, the nature of the data that was shared with Court's Desk was listing data. And in some cases, the outcomes of those cases. Of course, listing data is important, and of course, it's important that it is accurate. It's also important, by the way, that it's not shared unlawfully with third parties who they have no entitlement to share them with. So we continue to make that information available to journalists in the same way we did before 2020, and we continue to do that today. A journalist working in the field now can access that information from the lists from HMCTS if they make that request, and it will be passed to them in the usual way. And what we're seeking to do is to open that up further and put it on a stable footing, removing the Wild West which appears to have emerged.
Lincoln Job.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The Minister complains that it's currently the Wild West out there, and almost hopes that we could somehow regulate it. Well, we do actually have a regulator for incidents like this. And pursuant to the answer she gave to my honourable, gallant and learned friend, the member for Solihull West and Shirley, she acknowledged that data breaches have to be reported to the ICO within 72 hours. She was advised, we hear, that she thought that this did not hit the threshold, which I find absolutely staggering. And so why was advisors advise, ministers decide? Why was the Minister's judgment not to go away and immediately question that advice that she received from her department?
Well, the data breach of the agreement is one that I regard as serious. I referred it to the data officer of the MOJ. That is the conclusion they've reached, and I've accepted that advice. I've also, as I said, asked them to conduct a further review in light of further information that's come to light as we've asked Court's desk for further information. But what I suppose I am saying is that the information that came to light because Court's desk admitted of the fact that they had been inputting and sharing this data with an AI company in breach of their agreement. Now, we've got to get to the bottom of that, but moving forward in terms of the position with Court's list, it's so important that we tighten up these licensing agreements, we make them available to more companies so that journalists can continue to access the information, but in a way that is safe for defendants, safe for victims, and safe for anyone who participates in the court process.
Well, she mentions a few points there. And to be fair, she is right on some of them. Rupert Lowe is absolutely justified in being concerned about this data being deleted. That concern is valid. But she also said many other things that need to be unpacked. British politics like this one. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Doc British Believe It, or not over 98% of viewers watch our content without hitting the follow button. Subscribing is completely free. Over the past 2 days, we have seen Rupert Lowe appear repeatedly in the comments, talking about his own individual inquiry into these cases. At the same time, what we are now seeing from Labour MPs feels very much like an attempt to mislead the public. They keep saying they are supportive, deeply interested, and committed to getting justice for victims, while their own national inquiry is clearly stalled. Behind the scenes, nothing meaningful seems to be happening. It is worth remembering that this time last year, those same MPs were instructed to vote against a full national inquiry. Now they are trying to rewrite the past and pretend they suddenly care about the issue. The reality is different. They want this subject to disappear. They cannot stand the fact that Rupert Lowe is digging into it right now. The findings that come out of his inquiry are likely to be challenged and dismissed again and again. I also find it genuinely disturbing that the Speaker of the House once again starts shouting order when there is any mention of holding people accountable for covering things up. That added context matters, and these points need to be said openly during these discussions. I did appreciate seeing Katie Lamb's question as well, because it raised issues that clearly deserve serious answers. But overall, the Labour minister's response felt hollow. It was not reassuring, and it did not come across as sincere. This is something I notice time and time again with Labour ministers whenever we listen to these sessions on a regular basis. That is just my view, but I am interested to hear what you think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more content. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.